Welcome to your Unit 1A Read Aloud video. We are going to go ahead and start with question number 1. Question 1 says, Emperor penguins are the largest of all penguins. Some penguins' weights, which they said in pounds, are 60, 59, 66, 64, 61, 64, 60, 57, 65, 64, 64, and 60. So on part A, it wants you to go ahead and construct a dot plot to represent the penguin weight data. On it, you're going to give your graph a title. So think about this data and what it represents about the penguins. Okay, so you're going to give it a title. And then down here on the line, you also need to label what these numbers represent. Okay, it tells you up here. You just have to rewrite it down here. And then you are making your dot plot. So you're using all of these numbers and you're placing your dots above the number down here. Take a minute, pause your video, and answer part A. Okay. Question number 2, it says use your dot plot to find the measures of center and variation. Okay, that basically means you're going to use this data up here and from your dot plot, and you are going to find the maximum number, which remember is your biggest number, your minimum, which is your smallest number, the range, the mode, and the mean. Okay, so take a minute and go ahead and answer number 2. Okay, then flipping it over, we are on question number 3. So number 3 says, at the right are the survey data for Miss Conrad's 6th grade class. The table shows the number of minutes that the students in the class read each weekday. Okay, so it's giving you your interval right here. Okay, and it's giving you the number of students right here. We need to draw a histogram displaying the data, and then it says make sure you label the axes and title the graph. Okay, so you're going to find your title and your labels from this chart right here. Okay, so think about what do these ranges represent on our chart, and then what numbers are we going to fill in over here? Okay, my lowest number is 0 and my highest number is 6. So where is my 0 going to go and where is my 6 going to go? And then you're just going to label your axes and then draw your histogram. Okay, remember histograms go all the way from side to the next line. Okay, don't leave any blanks right there, any space. Okay. After you have drawn your histogram, you are going to come down here and you're going to answer the questions. So it says for each of the following questions, record whether you can determine the answer based on the graph. If you can answer it, you're going to go ahead and write the answer. If you can't answer it, you can just write you can't answer it or no. Okay. So part B says how many students were surveyed. Part C says how many read for less than 20 minutes. And D, how many read for exactly 30 minutes. Okay, so go ahead, take a minute and answer those 3 questions. Okay. Then on number 4, it already gave you the dot plot. So it says the dot plot below shows the total attendance at 15 movie theaters during 2022. Okay, so it gave you the dot plot, it gave you the dots. Okay, remember each of these lines is worth 1. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, and with this dot plot, you're going to find the minimum, which again is the smallest number, the maximum, your range, your median, your Q1, your Q3, your interquartile range, or remember, we also called that IQR, and remember, that is when you do something with the Q3 and the Q1, and then our mode. So go ahead and take a minute and answer number 4. Then right here for number 5, you are going to create a box plot. Okay, so remember box plot is when we have our 3 points that make up our box and then our 2 whiskers. Okay, so you're going to make a box plot using this information right here. Okay, so go ahead and take a minute and create your box plot for number 5. For number 6, I want you to describe one advantage and disadvantage of your box plot representation of the movie theater attendance data. So if you need a sentence starter, you can say one advantage of a box plot is, okay, and then you have to finish that. And then down here, one disadvantage of a box plot is. Okay, so there's some sentence starters that you can use. Okay, so think about the data that's shown on the box plot versus like your dot plot, for example. Okay, think about what you can see and what you can't see in a box plot. Let's go ahead and take a minute and answer number 6. Okay. Number 7 says the River City News Digest printed this graph about the population growth from 2005 to 2012. Based on this graph, some people thought that the population had doubled. What do you think? Use the graph to defend your argument. Okay, so right here, you're going to start right here, and you're going to look right here. Did that number double? Okay, so if you think it did double, you could say the graph did double because, okay, and then finish that. If you think it didn't double, you could say, you could also say the graph did not double because Okay, and then you're going to finish that sentence. So you're choosing whether it did double or did not double, and then tell me why. And you make sure you don't use both of those in your answer. Then question number 8 says the graph shows the worldwide total for the amount of electricity generated by the wind, okay? And it does tell you over here that these numbers are in the thousands, okay? So if it says 50, it's really meaning 50,000, okay? So you're going to look at these statements and choose all of them that are correct. So you can put a check mark, you can put an X, you can put a T for true. Okay, it does not matter what you do, you just have to mark all of the ones that are correct. Okay, so when we look at this, the first statement says that 2011 was the peak capacity for wind power. That means it's the highest. It's the highest year for wind power. If that's true, you're going to mark that. B says the graph shows a decrease in capacity for wind power from 2004 to 2009. Okay, so decrease again means that it's going down. Okay, and then right here it says in 2010, the world had a capacity to generate about 200,000 megawatts of wind power. Okay, so when you look at 2010, did it get to about 200,000? If that's true, you're going to mark that one. This one right here says the range of the data is 300,000 megawatts. So think about range and what you're doing with that. And then down here it says in 2004, the world had a capacity of about 50 megawatts of power, of wind power, okay? So if you think that is true, you're going to mark true. If you think it's false, then leave it alone. Go ahead and take a minute and solve number 8. For part B, you are going to circle the box plot that best represents the same data as the graph above. So when we're making a box plot out of this, think about where the majority of your numbers are going to fall. Think about where your median would fall. Your median would help you choose which of those box plots best represents the data. Okay. And then our last one right here. It says which questions below are statistical. Circle all of the correct answers. Okay. So question A or option A says how many states are in the United States? Option B says what is the average temperature for the month of September in your area? C says how many siblings do the 6th graders in your school have? And D says how tall are you? Okay, so you're going to circle all of those that are statistical questions. And then part B says explain how you know one of the questions you circled is statistical. So you're going to say option blank, so that's where you're going to put option A or option B, whatever you chose up there. So option blank is statistical because, okay, and then tell me why it is statistical. Okay. After you get done with part B, go ahead and give it to your teacher to look over, and then after your teacher looks it over, you can turn it into your math teacher.